Pokemon Legends launched 3 to 4 days ago, and my opinion of the game so far is that it is a good game. It's not an amazing game, it's not a great game, and it's just a good game. And throughout this video, I'll go over why I think it's just a good game. Starting off with the graphics. The graphics in this game, in my opinion, are a step up from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. If you play Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, you'll know that the textures in that game are just horrendous, 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 horrendous. And in this game, some of the buildings definitely take it up a couple of notches and show just what Game Freak can do in a Pokemon game from a graphical standpoint. Just what they're showing, just what they can do. For example, let's take Hotel Z. I believe it's the second building that you actually enter. The first building is going to be what was this? The lady that gives you tasks to do at the beginning of the game, and as your trainer levels up, I forgot what the name of the building is, but as your trainer levels up, she gives you rewards, HMs and TMs and XP candy, things like that. But anyways, Hotel Z is the second building you get to go in, and when you go into Hotel Z, once you're standing inside and you try to look out the windows, you'll notice that you can't actually see outside. What you're seeing on the windows doesn't represent of what's actually outside. Instead, you see a picture of what looks to be a large bush or a tree. And as you walk by the windows back and forth and you pan your camera up and down, left and right, all around, you'll see that image moves. It doesn't stay still. It moves, and you can see it from different angles. Now, that's called parallax occlusion mapping. And it's a unique effect that goes ahead and fakes depth. And the reason I'm talking about this effect and why it caught my attention is because it's used for optimization purposes. Instead of rendering more polygons, for example, in Hotel Z, looking out the windows, you just want to, Game Freak just wants to render what's inside the hotel and not what's outside. So what do? They basically go ahead and have a flat plane, like this napkin right here is a flat plane. Imagine it's a window. You're looking at it, but there's nothing in there, right? With parallax occlusion mapping, what you do is that you paste an image on there, and then it fakes depth. It actually looks like there's depth. And right here, I have a video. And this video is explaining how parallax occlusion mapping works, because the Spider-Man games on PS4 and PS5 actually use parallax occlusion mapping, and they have to because there's tons of skyscrapers all over the place and tons of tall buildings where Insomniac is like, okay, we're not going to go ahead and flesh out the inside of these buildings, especially since you can't go into them. So what's the point of doing that? So what do? They said, okay, let's implement parallax occlusion mapping in order to fake these buildings having an interior. As you can see right here, moving back and forth, it looks like there's actually something inside. There goes Spider-Man crawling across the buildings. It actually looks like there's something inside. There isn't. These are just images. They're just images right on the planes of the wall. So like you see this right here, the side of the building right here, that's what's right here. The same thing is right there. It's just flat. It's just a flat plane, but they go ahead and add this image. And using parallax occlusion mapping, as you move along, it looks like there's actually something there. Let's replay this again. Actually, right here, there's a good image too. As he's falling down, you can see it looks like there are interiors in each and one of these windows, but there's actually nothing there at all. And here we go again. He moves from side to side. It looks like there's something there, but there just isn't. And Legends EA has this whenever you go into any of the interactive buildings, excluding the Pokemon centers, which is really surprising to see them doing this. It shows that Game Freak is somewhat trying to improve their Pokemon games. And, it makes me happy to see that they're doing this, because after all, they are charging $70 for Legends EA. And I'm going to be honest, Legends EA is not worth $70. The game is not worth $70. Pokemon fans can make whatever excuse they want. They can make any counterpoints they want to this video, to anyone else, as to why it's okay to pay $70 for this game, but this game is not worth $70. I'm sorry, it just isn't worth $70. I wouldn't even put it at $40. I'd say Pokemon Legends EA max is worth $25. It literally is $25. Because the other thing I want to say is that the first Spider-Man game launched on a PS4, and the Switch 2 has about the same processing power of a PS4 Pro. And this game, when it launched on the PS4, it already had parallax occlusion mapping. The Switch 2 version of Legend CA should have parallax occlusion mapping on every building in the game, and it doesn't. It has the processing power to do it. Game Freak, like they definitely need to step up their games with making Pokemon games, especially on the Switch, because I know Game Freak has other games on in their pipeline that have nothing to do with Nintendo, but have to do with Sony. I believe the trailer for there was a certain game that they showed off a trailer for. I think it was earlier this year or last year. Tons of people were talking about it because they were like, "Why can't we? If Game Freak can do this, why can't why can't they do that for Pokemon games?" But most likely due to the publisher. That game is well, the publisher is Sony, and over here with Pokemon, it's Nintendo, and it looks like it might be that Nintendo just has it's like doesn't want to provide the proper budget to create a proper Nintendo Switch Pokemon game. But anyways, moving forward, um, this gets me excited because again, it shows that Game Freak is moving in the right direction. Because if they can do this, they can do a whole lot more. And the other thing I want to say is that parallax occlusion mapping is just not how would I put it? It's not limited to being used for Windows. You can use it for the side of buildings. You can use it for to fake water, to fake depth in water. You can use it to fake depth on the sky. You can use it to fake depth on the ground, whatever. You're walking on tile, walking on gravel, whatever it is. Walls itself. You can use it for all. You can implement it in a bunch of different ways. It's a very useful effect, and Nintendo needs to take advantage of it, especially now with the Switch 2. Sorry, Game Freak needs to take advantage of it, especially now on the Switch 2. The other thing I want to talk about is the fighting mechanics of how it currently is right now in game, because I don't like it. I'm not gonna mince my words. I don't like it. I think it's doo doo caca, and Game Freak definitely needs to change it. And the main reason I don't like it is because your Pokemon follows you. It follows the trainer. And my thing is, why are we controlling the trainer? It's the Pokemon what we really want to control. So why have us control the trainer, which then the Pokemon follows the trainer, and then the trainer commands the Pokemon to use whatever set attack. So here we go. There it goes. Trainer moved a little. Totodile follows afterwards, use an attack, and it goes over and over. And then there's a cooldown effect on each of the attacks. In my opinion, what we should have is something like Pokken Tournament, where you're just controlling the Pokemon. I think that's fantastic. That's exactly, well, not exactly what we need, but some kind of variation of the fighting system in Pokken Tournament. Something between Pokken Tournament and Pokemon Unite. Here we got Pokemon Unite. We see Tyranitar on screen fighting. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Watch him get into a fight. Okay, so there's Tyranitar. Watching him fight, we're controlling him again, not controlling a trainer. And if you haven't played Pokemon Unite, it's similar to something like Dota 2 or League of Legends, but it's more of a baby version. It's very easy to learn game. Anyone can pick it up. It's free for mobile and Switch, and now the Switch 2. As you can see here, Tyranitar has 2 attacks with an ultimate, and he's also holding has an item. He's holding an item. In this case, is an eject button, which lets him teleport just a short distance. That I have no problem with. Pokemon holding items. That's been in since Generation 2, I believe, and that's when it got introduced. That's fine. I do believe that there should be some kind of held item moving forward that reduces the cooldowns of attacks, as we see here. 1 second. There we go. We just saw it right there. Every time you attack, fight finished. Okay, here we go again. There we go. He just attacks. And lock onto the Pokemon again. There you see Leer. It's on a cooldown timer. Tackle was on a cooldown timer. Water guns on a cooldown timer. That's fine. That in my opinion, those cooldown timers kind of make the game still be a bit turn based, which is okay. It's not that big of a deal. It's the fights are definitely quicker than turn based fights. But I believe there should be some kind of held item that reduces the cooldowns, because you don't want fights to take too long. Sometimes if you're just training your Pokemon or you're in a battle zone, you just want to run through every trainer, run through every Pokemon, be quick, level up your Pokemon quick. But my main thing about the fighting system in this game is that I don't want to control the trainer. I know the trainer has a dodge mechanic. I don't want the trainer to have a dodge mechanic. Give that mechanic instead to your Pokemon. Give your Pokemon the ability to jump. We have some Pokemon can burrow underground, others can fly. So what does that mean? If a Pokemon has the ability to use fly, I want to control my Pokemon in the air. If the Pokemon has the ability to burrow underground, I want to be able to control my Pokemon when he uses dig, right? I think that's actually cool. Where the game tells you, hey, you only got 2 to 3 seconds to use fly or move, and if you don't use it within that time, it's going to miss. So you got to burrow underground, make sure you're under the enemy Pokemon, and then use the attack. Boom, you hit the attack, or you miss if you don't use it in time. Same thing with fly. You're controlling something like, I don't know, Lugia or Rayquaza, or something like a Pidgeotto or Pidgeot, and if you don't use fly in time, oh well, you missed. You missed. Too bad. Now you gotta wait for the cooldown to finish. Anyways, those are my opinions on the fighting mechanic. I may seem a bit animated, but it's a new game. I'm a bit excited. Hopefully the game does get better. Moving on, I want to talk about exploration. I think exploration in this game is okay. And the reason I say okay is because the map isn't big. Even though it is called Lumio City, it's very small for a city. Most buildings, you can't explore them. You can only explore the tops of buildings. Most buildings, you can't go inside of them. And any building that you can interact with them, there's, from what I can tell so far, I haven't played the game that much, only have 4 to 5 hours in it. But the buildings that I've gone in so far, there isn't much to do inside of them. So as of right now, Game Freak just wants you to be outside exploring, looking for new Pokemon, looking for trainers to battle, leveling up your Pokemon. Next thing I want to talk about is the day and night cycle. We have wild zones and battle zones. Wild zones are available during the day and the night. Battle zones are only available, as far as I can tell, are only available at night. And I think that's a wonderful idea. The reason I say it's a wonderful idea is because it makes exploring much easier. In this game right now, it looks like, and hopefully moving forward, it looks like gone are the days of trying to avoid some trainer battles. You're just trying to get to the next area. You're like, man, there's a trainer in the way. Let me see if I can get out the way. I don't want a long, drawn-out battle. Or maybe your Pokemon, are strong enough so you get to, just run through the trainer and then that's it. But it's still annoying when you have to fight and you don't want to fight and you just want to get to the area. But then again, this game is pretty small, but they still did it right. They said, okay, you know what? The battle areas are going to be at night, and that's where most of the trainers that you want to fight, that's where they're going to be. It's a way of Game Freak saying, you know what? We're going to move them out the way. We're going to let you guys explore and move those battles out the way. And then during the day, you can still battle. We're going to be battling wild Pokemon. You still get your battles in during the day and you get your battles in during the night. Now, the wild zones. I am not a fan of the wild zones. Maybe they'll get better as I continue playing the game. As of this point, I've only unlocked, I think, six wild zones so far. And on the 6th wild zone, I was able to catch a level 20 magic card, which I thought was pretty cool. That meant I was able to evolve it right away. Right now, the wild zones don't have that great a variety of Pokemon in them. But like I said, I've only unlocked 6 wild zones. So maybe as I continue to move forward, there are more wild zones having, bigger variety of Pokemon. So I've yet to see, my opinion on the wild zones. There's a good chance it'll change, and hopefully it does change. Yeah, that's all I have to say about the day and night cycle. There really isn't much going on with them, so they're pretty cool. Hopefully Pokemon Game Freak continues to use this day and night cycle. I will say, if they do continue to use the day and night cycle, I would like to see a variation of the battle zone. I wouldn't like for them to just stick with the same battle zone that they have now. Hopefully they do get a variation, something where maybe during the day there are some battle zones that are only available for say 10, 15 minutes, and you got to get there on time to get your fights in if you want to do that, right? And if you're able to get through that battle zone within those 10 to 15 minutes, you receive a reward of some kind. Maybe it's not just monetary reward. Maybe you get extra XP for your Pokemon. Maybe you get a rare held item or something like that. Maybe you get I don't know, you get 20 Ultra Balls, 40 Ultra Balls, something, or maybe you get 10 rare candies, or who knows, just something interesting, something really interesting that you get if you finish the battle zone in time. Moving forward, they should definitely do something like that or some kind of variation like that, just to shake things up and keep things interesting. Because Pokemon has been using pretty much the same formula since it came out, and they definitely need to change things around. It's working for them. I won't lie and say it's not working for them. Pokemon fans, the real Pokemon fans, really enjoy it, and they buy every game that comes out, and they don't complain, and they keep on playing, and rightfully so. When you enjoy something, you continue to enjoy it. You just don't throw it away and say, well, that's it, I'm done with it. You continue enjoying it. Next thing I want to talk about, let's see. Actually, you know what? I think that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. Like I said, I only have 4 to 5 hours into this game. I haven't really done much. The last mission I did in this game, as part of the story, was I spoke to Detective Emma. She had me go around the city and had to speak to 3 different NPCs. They needed help with some stuff. Went ahead and did it. And then after that, you battle her. You beat her or you lose, whichever one. And then she shows you, she talks to you about Mega Evolution. She Mega evolves her Ampharos into Mega Ampharos, which is pretty cool. I haven't Mega evolved any of my Pokemon yet. I'm waiting to do that. Most likely the Pokemon that I choose to Mega evolve is whichever looked the coolest. So definitely one of them is going to be Gyarados. That's why I evolved my level 20 Magikarp. I'm going to see if I can get a Alakazam. I know Alakazam looks cool. Hopefully I can find a Charmander, because I definitely want a Charizard. I believe, what is it? Mega Charizard X, the one that's black and blue. And yeah, I mean, that's probably how I'll go ahead and build my team based on which Pokemons I think look the coolest. After all, this is Pokemon. It's a bit of a casual game, so however you build your team is okay. Anyways, if you liked the video, please go ahead and dislike if you didn't like the video, leave a comment, and please subscribe. It helps out the channel very much. Thank you.